What the heck is Frank doing here on a Monday night? Well, if you follow my Facebook page, you would notice that yesterday, the reason why I wasn't online from 8 to 8:30 was I was coaching a hockey tournament in Wilmot, Ontario. Big shout out to Wilmot, to everybody that I met there. I was actually coaching. The kids did well. We lost in the B finals, but it was a great day. It was a great day overall. So now hockey's done. And when hockey's done, you know that spring is on the way. Indeed. Daytime highs today across the province in the teens. Things right now are starting to wake up, starting to see, and we have seen a lot of bulbs that are starting to pop out of the ground, starting to see some crocuses appear. And we will, in the next few weeks, start to see things actively growing. A couple things that I want to remind you about. One thing I want to remind you about is the benefits of a dormant spray kit. Once again, the dormant spray kit is a combination of horticultural oil and lime sulfur. That combination together is applied on trees like fruit trees. The reason why it's applied on fruit trees is that it will minimize any overwintering disease and or insects. It could also be used on many deciduous trees, but it has to be done while plants are in dormancy and while we have a temperature through the daytime. At least, it's beneficial to have at least 8 hours of over 5 degrees Celsius, which is what we saw today, and we'll see it again on Wednesday. You don't want rain. We're going to see some rain on Wednesday, so we want more of sunny conditions. And this upcoming weekend, Saturday and Sunday, on average across the province, temperatures in the low double digits to the high single digits. So we should be pretty good overall. We have Matthew Amos already giving us a shout out this evening, that is. Here we go. What's this question? He has a long question here. Oh, he wants to know where he can send a letter for Sid. Well, you can mail it right into 33 Dundas Street East. You can see it right there. That's where you would mail it into. City TV is the best way to do that. We have Brenda today saying hello to us as well from Guelph. Good evening, Brenda. I can't really figure out whether it's evening, morning, or what time of the day it is. We also have another shout out today from Maria in Pickering. Okay. A couple things that I want to draw your attention to. We already talked about why tonight as well. When is the time to start considering fertilizing your lawn? That's a big question that I get often. Another thing that you should do while temperatures are cool and things are in dormancy is when you're putting a lawn weed preventer on. There's the Scott's Turf Builder lawn weed preventer, which has corn gluten in it. The corn gluten actually works to coat weed seeds, so it minimizes the germination of weed seeds, like things like crabgrass. So it could reduce the amount of crabgrass that you have in your lawn, could reduce the amount of dandelions that you will have in your lawn as those seeds that are sitting dormant. If you do apply that, though, you will have to wait at least 6 weeks before you could put grass seed down. It's too early to put grass seed down right now. We need a soil temperature of 15 degrees. And when we really want to use other fertilizers that are higher in nitrogen is when we start to see things actively growing outdoors. That's when we would want to apply something to our lawn. If our lawn is compacted, we got to figure out ways that we can minimize that compaction, because a compacted lawn that is hard underfoot is one that won't allow the absorption of water, moisture, and or nutrients. So one thing that we can do to make sure that we don't compact a lawn is if you're walking on your lawn right now and it feels a little spongy underfoot, well, that is a good time to stay off the lawn. The reason why you want to stay off the lawn is you want that lawn to firm up before you're going to be walking on it. We have another little shout out today from Mercedes, who is saying, hi, nice to see you. Mercedes Cortez, good evening to you. We got a good shout out to Sturgeon Falls, Ontario, which I have been there many times. I wonder how you probably still have snow up there, but I wonder how much you have. Susan, who is an avid, not only gardener, but makes that an occupation, is saying good evening tonight as well. Lacey giving us a shout out tonight as well from Oshawa. And we have a shout out as well from Coburg. So what are some of the things that you could be seeing outdoors right now? One thing that I want you to go, and I continue to say this, is to go inspect your property, to walk around and to see if you see any broken branches and or any fallen material. You really want to clean that up. So any broken stems and or branches, you want to prune those off. Anything that's early spring blooming, if it's a flowering shrub like a forsythia that's early spring blooming, we only want to prune, that is, any broken material or any dead material. Because it's early spring blooming, if we prune it, we're going to actually minimize or reduce the amount of blooms we'll see, especially for things like lilacs. Lilacs right now, their blooms are sitting there. So if we do an early spring pruning, we're going to remove those flowers. However, for those things that bloom later season, late summer, like right now I'm looking at my backyards and I have my limelight hydrangeas. I can, if it's a nice day, get out there and clean them up. I can prune them to half their size, no problem whatsoever, because they bloom on new wood. So just really make sure you pay attention to when things bloom. The question is right now is, can we aerate a lawn right now? Asked Maria. So aerating a lawn, the whole reason or concept is you have a compacted lawn. So if you have a clay-based soil, you'll have more increased compaction. The aeration is where you're driving a machine over, generally, or hiring somebody to do that. And it has a roller that actually has these spikes that will pull plugs of soil out. That will allow some more moisture to flow down and nutrients to flow down. We want to make sure the lawn is firm so that it's dried out a little bit. Well, the more dried out it is, the better it is. So as long as your lawn is not sopping wet, you can do aeration. And as long as you don't have ground frost in. Most areas we don't have ground frost because we did have a fairly warm winter overall. We got Barb giving me a star today. There's Barb. We're going to do a hide there. So oh, I can't even show Barb's star. I don't know why I couldn't show that. We got a yellow house on the hill, B&B. Hey, Frankie, good day to you too. Sandy, what is Sandy asking today? Nice to see the sun and warmth this afternoon. My tulips and daffodils are popping up here in Gravenhurst. It's amazing how quickly they will pop up. A reminder that tulips are edible and desirable to squirrels. Daffodils are poisonous to squirrels. So if you ever have a squirrel problem, you want to plant more daffodils. I was in a conversation today with a bunch of fellow colleagues that I work alongside, and we were talking about squirrels. And it seems that squirrels this year have been wilder, crazier, and more aggressive than anything, that they're just going, they're digging, and they're not being afraid of anything. So I'd be interested to hear about your squirrel woes and or problems overall. We have Lori. Hi, Lori Smith. Hello, Frankie. Hope that you're getting over your shingles and feeling better. Thanks for asking. I was actually had that written down here as well. So I still have a little bit of soreness to my side. For all those that actually commented about how they've had shingles and all the different recommendations and assistance and kind of tips, and also just awareness, talking about it as awareness. A lot of people don't know, an indication of shingles is what appears to look like a rash. It'll be on one side of your body, have a burning sensation. In order to get shingles, you had to have the chickenpox before. There are some vaccines that you can use to reduce that overall. If you have shingles and they're in a part where they're blistered, that's when you can be contagious. And let's say your kids never had chickenpox before, well, they could get chickenpox at that time. So there's a lot of information. So if you're curious about shingles, I'm no doctor. Ask your doctor a little bit about that overall. Nancy, hi from Sarnia. I started some 4 o'clock seeds indoors. 5 of them sprouted and doing well. The other 5 sprouted and then just shriveled up. Too much water, not enough. I am just a beginner at this. So sometimes, number one, 4 o'clock seeds, they're fairly quick to germinate. A little early right now to be starting those. I would have been starting them more towards the middle or even more so to the end of this month. What is fairly common that happens with new seedlings and can happen is what's called damping off. And damping off is where at the stem, they'll actually almost rot and fall over. It's generally caused by too much moisture is usually the main reason for that. And it's actually a disease that causes that. If that's the case that you have damping off, in order to prevent or reduce that, you don't want to use the same soil. And in those containers where you had that dieback and or damping off, if there are plastic, you would want to use a weak bleach solution to wash them out. So empty them in the soil, wash them out with a little bit of bleach. That would kill off any of the disease, which is fungus that's there, and minimize damping off. But if you want, take a look at damping off and you can find out some information that's there. Mercedes now with a comment and or question. Frankie, is it good to cut the grass right now? I saw my neighbors cutting the grass. So once again, if it's firm underfoot, if you wanted to, you could cut your grass. More so with your grass right now, you're not cutting because why would you? You should have cut it later, late in fall, and it should have been at the adequate height. It wouldn't have grown already at this time. More so what you would be doing is considering doing dethatching. And sometimes what you're thinking is they're doing a cutting, but they're actually running a dethatcher across. So what is thatch? So if we look at a lawn and we see that we have the green blade of grass, and then we'll have the root. In between the root and the green blade of grass, right at the base, you'll see what's almost appeared to be dried and or dead grass. And if that's under about a centimeter or even a couple of centimeters, it's okay because it actually will be an area where it can absorb and maintain moisture, will shelter the roots a little bit. But anything beyond that, if you have a lot of thatch, that's when you want to dethatch your lawn. So you can dethatch as long as it's firm underfoot. If you wanted to cut it, I don't think you should, because depending upon where you are, it shouldn't have been growing already. We already have a question. Hey, this is amazing. Is from a Iqaluit today. The sun is back and the snow remains in the Iqaluit in the Great White North, which people love to grow up there too. Grow plants indoors and also grow plants outdoors. But it's an environment that is a tough environment, but a beautiful landscape. A beautiful landscape. We have a little comment here from our friends at the B&B. Can you replant a pot of hydrangea into your garden? Great question, because right now, as we head our way this weekend into Easter, a reminder, Friday is Good Friday. Easter Sunday is this coming Sunday. A lot of the times you're buying potted hydrangeas. The potted hydrangeas you're seeing at your grocery stores, your floral shops, your garden centers are a macrophilia. And what that means is they're a large leaf hydrangea, which is they're not as hardy as a PG and Annabella, limelights, some of the more piculata varieties that are out there. You can plant it in the garden, but what I've seen after they finish their bloom periods and when they are in the garden, often they won't bear another flower. They'll just push a lot of foliage because they're marginally hardy. They also, if you are planting it in the garden, you want to go for this little bit of a trial and or maybe challenge, is that you will need to make sure that you're leaving any of the growth there. They bloom on old wood. So after they finish flowering, if you want to do any pruning, you do pruning then, you plant it, you'll get no more bloom this year. Next season, when they come up, don't prune them, leave them, just remove any dead wood that you see. And then at that time, they'll put their foliage on and they would bloom a little bit later season. But in my experience, they just put foliage on, they don't really bloom again. So we have another question from Roach. How would you fit pet damaged areas on your lawn? So generally, pet damage area on your lawn are caused by urine, peeing. And the reason being is many dogs and or pets have acidic urine, especially females. Female dogs are the ones that generally leave those burn spots. So if we're trying to repair that damage, we want to first neutralize the acidity of the urine. And then secondly, we want to put some soil and seed down. How we would neutralize the acidity is that we would actually put some horticultural lime down. And then we break the area first, rake it all up, put some lime down, neutralize the acidity, a little bit of soil, and then seed. There's an easy patch for pets, for pet damage. You'll see easy patch, and you'll actually see a picture of the pets on it. You'll just need to rake the area, and then you just actually sprinkle this over that little area that already has a mulch, that already has the horticultural lime to neutralize the acidity, and a little bit of fertilizer and grass seed. So it's kind of a one application that takes care of everything, and that's how you can repair those. If it's dug up areas and things like that, then you would have to do leveling and consider that as well. The other part too is once you patch these areas, you want to keep the dog off until the seed germinates and kind of helps out there. So that's kind of the challenge that happens. Or the other thing is you wait till some sod's available. If they're larger patches, you still put some horticultural lime down and then you patch them with sod, and then that'll root quicker for you overall. Good question though. Shout out to Belleville in Eastern Ontario. Good shout out to you. Carol out there too. We got Marlene. Hi, Marlene. Can rose bushes be pruned now? Yeah, they can. So generally when you go to a rose bush in early spring is we will either see some of the stems are white and or black. If they're white or black, those stems are dead, so you can prune them. We can look at where the buds are and we can prune off any dead wood to those buds. Rose bushes will bloom on new wood, so you can do pruning. As a rule of thumb, you don't want to prune them more than a third, but if they're a Hydrangea or Floribunda, you can actually prune them back to the 3 to 5 best, thickest, most vigorous looking canes. And those canes can be at 18 inches. You can prune them to a height of 18 inches. But finding out what variety of rose you have is really important. If it's just a shrub rose, you can go ahead and prune and don't worry whatsoever at all. We got a hello today from Trenton. Hello to you as well. We got Liam. I started seeds a week or two ago in my basement. It's a cement basement with a stone foundation. What temperature should be in order for them to grow? So in order for a seed to germinate, we need heat and humidity. So being in the basement, and if it's on the cement floor, generally if it's not a radiant heat, meaning that you don't have a heated floor, that floor is going to be quite cold. So the soil temperature needs to be, if it's an ideal soil temperature of 20 degrees, they'll pop like that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So you want to put them in an area where it's actually will warm the soil, keep the soil nice and warm. They can stay in darkness until they're germinated, but as soon as they put a few leaves on, they need to be in lots of light. So you'd want to remove them from the basement, move them to lots of light, or have a full spectrum LED light bulb or a full spectrum light bulb that's out there. Kathy from Niagara, how are you, Kathy? Just to give you a shout out as well, I will be on Niagara on the Lake. I will be on Niagara on the Lake coming up in May and also in August at Two Sisters Winery. I just want to show you guys. If you guys go to my website and you have signed up to my newsletter, this is what you would have received. This is April's newsletter that came out this morning. We got some fun facts. Did you know the first Mustang ever was released in April 1964? Listen to this. Mustang back then was worth $2,368. Wow. But if you go down, you can actually find out as well when you get the newsletter on a month-to-month basis, some of the coming events. Two Sisters Winery, May 23rd, and also on August 27th. Those tickets will be available, and you got to look at their website about a month in advance. And also, if you go to the Calgary Horticultural Society and you go onto their website, you can sign up for our virtual session that I'll be doing for them on Thursday, June the 1st at 6:30. So there's a little things, always doing something, always keeping busy. This guy, that's me. We got another question that's here. Buying some more, this is from Owen. Mary Mayville. I hope is that Owen Mayville that I know that I used to play hockey with. Buying some more potted hydrangeas. When can I plant them outside? So if they are the indoor potted hydrangeas that we enjoy right now, as I was mentioning for Easter, if we were to plant them outdoors and we got a frost, it would actually harm them because they've already fully foliated. If you're buying a potted hydrangea and it's at the garden center and it hasn't leafed out yet, you can plant it tomorrow if you want it. As long as it's dormant, you can plant it tomorrow. But Owen, if it is out of dormancy and that potted hydrangea has a leaf on it, we would want to wait until the end of the month before we plant it outside and still pay attention to some of the weather conditions. Because if it dips below -5 and that has a brand new leaf on it, they're going to get harmed. It's going to set them back quite a bit. We got a shout out today from Mississauga. Good question though as well. We got Diane who's giving a question. I received an early bird blue hydrangea. I missed watering it a couple days. And hydrangeas, they are water lovers. Like they suck the water up like no problem. Caught it drooping, water it, not dead, but beautiful, but not beautiful. Help. Water or on dirt or suck it up from the dish. I want to move to the garden in June when warm. What dirt to keep going? Okay, so first thing is best way to water a hydrangea. So the potted hydrangeas that you have right now is you fill up your sink. So you fill up your sink with water, and then you take the bottom of that hydrangea because you're going to take it out of its decorative cover that it's in. So you're going to take it out and it'll be in a green or black grower pot. You're going to then walk over to the sink. You're going to put your hand across the base of where the plant comes out, top of the pot, right? The base of the plant, top of the pot. Your hand's going to go like this, and then you're just going to push that pot down into the water. And you're going to hold it there. As soon as you don't see any more bubbles, it's watered. It's fully watered. That's the best way to water a hydrangea. When we're watering hydrangeas, we want to keep the water off the foliage, really key. And with hydrangeas on a sunny day, for sure, even if they're in your home, they're going to need to be watered. They are they love water. So it's really important to keep them water. If you allowed them to dry out a few days, their blooms may have kicked back and you may have lost some of those flowers that are there. And it may be hard to bring it back around again. But there's some advice for you as well. We have Ralph. Hi, Ralph. How should I treat grubs? It's a losing battle in tiny. So grub control, of course, grubs, if you're wondering what is a grub. So if you had Japanese beetles or June beetles, as they fly around, they then go and lay some eggs. Those eggs turn into a larvae. The larvae, which is almost a whitish to gray, kind of chunky looking worm with a brown head, is a grub. Grubs actually will eat the roots of your lawn and cause damage in your lawn. At this time of the year, things like raccoons and skunks and even blackbirds will go on your lawn digging because it's an early protein source for them to eat. So they'll actually do more damage to your lawn. The only two control measures that you have available right now are nematodes or grub begone. Grub begone is my preferred control The lawn needs to be wet first. You apply down the grub be gone, and then you need to water it in thereafter. Effective treatment is really important. What that is it's actually a type of bacteria that will go down in through the water channels down and then will infect the grubs. So a wet soil to absorb them is really important, and watering them in, so rain after, important so it can push it down into the soil where the grubs are and to control the grubs. So effective control is the best, well, effective application, and the right application is super important overall. And then will it get rid of them all? It'll be a great way to control them. It won't get rid of them all, but it will really help out. And that's really because of the cosmetic pesticide ban. We have really limited choices, but those are the best choices. And Grub Be Gone is the best. Susan, the squirrels are more aggressive this season because there was a shortage of pine cones and acorns last fall. So they are competing for food this season. That absolutely makes sense that there was a shortage of food. And, we did have some drought conditions. So maybe some of the plant material didn't put them on, but generally a season that we don't have a lot of that production, the following season will have more. And it could be, I've actually seen an increased population of squirrels in many areas, and maybe that's another reason for food source. Of course, generally it's always about food. And I know with squirrels, food rule the world. However, what a lot of people are telling me with squirrels, it's they're not even digging for food. They're actually just being more of a nuisance. So they're just more or less just being aggressive, like, you know what I mean? What word I want to use right now? Yeah, you know that word. I don't want to say that word in case some younger people are watching right now, but you know the word I want to mean. That I'm meaning. Mary is saying hello from Mount Bridges. Hello to you this evening. Patty, how you doing? Hi, not sure if anyone has asked this, but moles. Yeah. Both my daughter and I get them, and she has tried traps in the ground and still gets them. So there's difference. There's moles and there's voles. Moles, generally, when you see those tunnels in your lawn, they're also looking for grubs. So they're also eating grubs. So getting rid of or minimizing grubs, you can get rid of moles. Putting blood meal down will actually distract them from those areas as well. If they're voles, the traps are more effective. Let me tell you what old time gardeners, because if you look on my top shelf right over there, you can see those. I have a collection of really old garden books. In one of the old garden books, it says, as a recommendation, is to take wine bottles and to bury them into the ground. And you're like, well, why the heck would you do that? Well, you bury them in the ground empty. So you drink the wine first. A lot of fun. Love it. Then you bury the wine bottle down. And when the wind blows across the wine bottle, it actually will vibrate the bottle. Other people would put whirligigs in the garden. So you'd actually have like a little windmill on a metal pole that would shake that metal pole. That will actually agitate the ground and cause the moles, the voles, to get a little bit crazy in mice and actually discourage them to come to certain areas. So those are a couple different ways that you can get rid of them. So you need to figure out whether they're moles and or voles. So go online right now and just type in voles, and you can see the difference between the two. Rosso, hey, May, you live in one of the most beautiful places. I love Rosso. There's that little the little corner store there. That's like the little corner grocery store. They usually have a nice little selection of plants that are out front. And I'm forgetting her name. But some of the plants that you see there are from my family business. And she's friends actually with my one uncle. And so you can get a little bit of Bradford greenhouses right up there in Rosso. Lots going on in the greenhouse right now. We're in full swing, planting every day, sowing seeds every day, and we are ramping up. It's a kind of an excited time out there. I like this, that people are not only talking about gardening on our chat tonight, but they're also talking about some movies. Lorraine to Matthew Amos, new Scream movie is good. I like it better than the new Halloween movie. I just watched, I think it was Scream 4 the other day with my youngest son. It's fun. They're always fun movies. Nancy Fleming, good evening. Just received a snake plant, okay, which is boom, right to my side right there, okay, also known as Sensiveria, also nicknamed mother-in-law's tongue. Can you recommend best location to ensure it gets sufficient light but not too much light? So put it in a west or south-facing room, not directly in front of a window, but a room that does have a nice large window. That guy there, the Sensiveria, the snake plant, don't need a ton of watering. So as a maximum, watering once a week, as a minimum, watering it during the longer daylight period. So now that we're in the month of March to October, those are longer days. You're going to water it once every other week as a minimum. In the winter, you're watering it pretty much once a month And sometimes if we have a cloudy month, you're watering it once every other month. So allow it to be more dry than wet and it'll do well. So once again, a room that's south or west facing would be the best for that guy there. Paul, I have dogs and cats. Okay. I planted coneflowers and some bee balm and zinnias. Does that cause wasps? Had lots of wasps last year. They bothered the animals. Any suggestions? So there are several different varieties of wasps. So generally most wasps are actually eating other insects. So it's not the coneflowers and the bee balm and the zinnias. Well, all three of those are great for attracting pollinators. So they're great for attracting bees and mason bees and as well as butterflies. When it comes to wasp, it depends on the variety of the wasp, but wasps can be around, they can be ground wasps, they can also be paper wasps. So if you have wasps that are coming around your area, something where you can actually keep them away from your pets is even up maybe a little bit higher somewhere is you can put a wasp trap that will actually have the wasps collect over to that area. Sometimes even if you put a little bit of orange pop in a container, they'll actually go to that one container. The good news is that wasps are generally more later season. That's when they come in their higher numbers. But we got to figure out, where are they? Like, are they in your eaves troughs? Because they sometimes will even go into your home if you have an open crack or crevice that hasn't been caulked. Are they a mason wasp, or a mud wasp, forgive me? And the mud wasps on the side of your house will build what look almost like tunnels. So we got to figure out where their homes are, because if we can get rid of them in terms of their habitat and or home, or minimize that habitat or home, then that's what we can effectively control. So the plants are not the problem. The problem is they have the ideal habitat that's there, and we got to figure out why they're there. So we got a nice thank you out there to Yellow House today. Thank you for joining me today as well. We got another question here from Lorraine. Why does my leaves on my palm tree go brown? So palms are not the easiest indoor plant to take care of. And the reason is they generally get spider mite. And so spider mite, or red spider, is when we look at the leaves of the palm, and if you can see a really small webbing, that's an indication that you have spider mite. So if you do have palms, what I really like to use is I like to use Bug B Gone. So at least once a month, I'll just do a spraying of Bug B Gone just as a preventative for that issue. We also want to put the palms in a bright room. We want to allow them to dry in between waterings. And if we can add a humidifier to that room, it'd be really, really important. If that palm tree is by a heating vent, that heating vent can also be causing some of those brown tips. But generally on palms, the issue is generally red spider and or spider mite that's causing the problem. Natalia, Natalina, forgive me. Hi, Frankie from Chatham. Beautiful place. I started some tomato seeds. Great, because it's the time to do that. They were looking kind of leggy. So the reason, let me break it down, why we get a leggy tomato seed is we don't have enough light. So they're stretching the light. Temperature in your home can be too warm, and then also too much water. So if we actually increase light to them, we cut back and make the home a little bit cooler. So run at a little bit of a cooler temperature and restrict the watering. So allowing them to dry out will actually strengthen those stems. So I planted them a little deeper. Should I keep them right in front of my sunniest window or stay away from it? So we want to keep them by nice and bright light. It doesn't have to be right by the window, but on occasion, turn that tray, because what's going to happen is you're always going to see them grow towards the light. So if we always turning the tray, then we can actually balance them out. But cut back on your watering, and if your room's really hot, that's what's stretching them as well. So the three things that stretch a tomato seedling is heat. Main thing is light, stretching towards the light. Next would be too hot, and then too much water. Those are the things that would stretch that guy there. Linda saying hello. Hello, Frank. Hello, Linda. Patty, she's saying, hi, moles. Traps don't fully work. Traps don't fully work. Getting rid of their food source is what's going to work. So you get rid of the grubs, you'll get rid of the moles, because the moles go where the food is, just to let you know. Ashley, we're talking to each other today via email. She was asking me about what kind of bike my son was going to buy. I planted raspberry bushes thinking it would be fun for the kids to eat from the bush, but now they keep on spreading any way to contain them. Nice edge around that garden where you have those raspberries in the spring. You put a nice, tight, deep edge around that garden, and you keep that edge there, and that's the way to contain them. You can actually, if you wanted to put some sort of barrier or some sort of edging that would help you out, That's the problem with the raspberry bushes, is that they do get out of hand because they're not mounding. They actually will spread out their canes. So a good edge is the main thing that will do that. Carol King, hello from Hamilton. Hello to you. Not starting my seeds till the weekend. Beautiful. And Carol, it's really important in terms of what you're growing out there. Kathy is saying, would love to see you. I'd love to see you too. Sherry's saying, Two Sisters is amazing. The events we do there are so fun. I work alongside of the sommelier. The sommelier talks about the wine. I use the wine to inspire me to do different plantings or different combinations. The one that we're doing in August is we're going to do a garden to table pizza, talk about the wonderful herbs. I'm going to be working with the chef and the sommelier, and we're going to build some pizzas, talk about harvesting herds, growing herds. Super excited about that as well. We got a shout out today about our newsletter. Sandy, thanks for the amazing info in your newsletter. Much appreciated. Not sure where you find the time. When you're passionate about something, you find the time. To be honest, I wrote the newsletter when my son was skiing, so I had to wait for him. So I always find the time that'll be there out. Ashley's going to say, she's saying she's going to come on the wine tour down there, and that date, hopefully we can swing by there for you for the event as well. So doing a wine tour, that's great. It'd be great to see you down there. We'll make sure we connect. Do one more question and or comment because we're at about 31 minutes right now. Hi from Copaconk. When's the best time to put down grub mix down? So just having this conversation right now, as long as there's no ground frost. So as long as the soil is loose and there is no frost in the ground, you can put a grub control mix down, which is the grub begone. You need to make sure the soil is wet. And then on a day where just before it rains is ideal. The warmer the soil temperature, the grubs will be up a little bit closer to the surface, so it'll be a little bit more effective. But if you have a big grub problem, once again, check out Grub Begone. And Tanya, my friend Tanya, I know you called me earlier. I'll call you tomorrow because I know I was making dinner when you called, by the way. Still being a dad here. Okay, so on that note, you can see I got friends on here and we got everybody out there. So Penny, we got a hi from there. We got a hi to Ajax, quick little ones that are out there. We got a thank you from Ralph out there as well. We got another little comment there about planting strawberries. You can see that everybody's excited for the garden season. I am excited as well. It was great to be here actually on a Monday night. Let me know in the comments whether you like the evening, the Monday night, or if you like a Sunday morning. I'm always willing to kind of adjust overall. Thanks for your understanding. Thanks for joining me tonight. Hope you guys are having a great evening. April, we're here. April showers bring me flowers, and it's always going to be a blooming good time. And I just can't wait to be outside harvesting my first tomato. Love summer tomatoes. Okay, have a good night. Sleep tight.